Only have about 15 or 20 minutes to make dinner tonight? No problem. I'm going to show you 3 delicious, easy to make classic Italian pastas that you can make tonight. The first pasta we're going to get into is one of the 4 classic Roman pastas known as Cacio Pepe, which translates to cheese and pepper. Very easy, 4 ingredients. Here's how you do it.
Speaking of pepper, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of black peppercorns to a medium-sized sauté pan. We're not going to need that much pepper, but while we're doing this, why not make a bunch? We're going to add it to the cooktop, turn the heat to medium-low. What we're looking to do is toast up the peppercorns. The reason we do this is because the pepper will become very aromatic and actually a bit spicier, making this very full-flavored. Now, it's only going to take about 2 minutes or so. Once you start to really smell it, turn the heat off. We're going to remove it, set it to the side on a plate to let them completely cool. Now, for some more prep. I'm going to grate up 1 1/4 cups of Pecorino Romano cheese. This is the classic cheese to use in this recipe. If you only can get a hold of Parmesan cheese, I suppose that will work. But what we do want to do is obviously finely grate it. I like to do it right on parchment paper. It just keeps everything clean, and it's very easy to transport and move. You can do it on a plate or a platter as well, no problem. Let's go back to our peppercorns. They're nice and cool. I'm going to add them to a mortar and then use a pestle to grind everything up until it is ground with some nice chunks in here. You could obviously use a spice grinder or just add them to your pepper mill. This is the exact consistency I'm looking for. Some nice fine grinds and some bigger grinds as well. Set it to the side. Let's go back over the cheese. It's crazy that a little bit of cheese can render 1 1/4 cups of grated. I'm going to separate them into 3 piles. A larger, a medium, and a small. Now, they do not have to be perfect size at all. Just sort of divide them like this. We're going to start off by taking that bigger pile of cheese. We're going to add it to a saute pan over low heat. We're going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of the cracked black pepper. Let's go over to our water. It's not boiling yet, but it is nice and hot. We're going to add a 4-ounce ladle right to our cheese. Using a rubber spatula or a spoon, begin to move everything around until the sauce comes together, almost like an emulsification. The cheese will blend in with the water. Now, back over to our water. We're going to add enough salt to make it salty like the ocean. It's got a nice low boil on here. Perfect. I'm going to next add in 8 ounces of fresh pasta. I've got some left over. Perfect. If you want to use dry pasta, no problem. Just cook it according to the time on the package. Now, fresh pasta cooks very quickly, maybe 2 minutes. It would begin to float to the top. That's a good indication that I'm just about done. But what you do need to do is add the pasta in batches into our saute pan with the cheese. If you add too much at one time, it's going to become waterlogged and it's not going to work out. Once your pasta is completely in there after adding them in batches, we're going to begin to immediately stir everything together using that rubber spatula, almost like a stir fry. Now, I've got a few clumps of cheese in here. That means my pan is way too hot. I'm going to turn the heat completely off, and to help bring down the temperature a little bit more, I'm going to bring in 4 more ounces of that hot water and that medium-sized pile of grated cheese. Let's, of course, not forget to season it up with a little bit of salt at this point. Grab your rubber spatula and move everything around again. This should absolutely work to make it perfectly creamy like this. No lumps, no chunks. It's all about heat control when it comes to Cacio Pepe. Perfect. Now, let's remove this from the heat and plate it up. I like to wrap it around a very large fork, plate it up in a bowl or a plate, and I like to make these little nests. That's why I do that. Wrap it around the fork. Just looks really pretty. We're going to finish it with that small pile of grated Pecorino Romano cheese, and then, of course, finish it with some more freshly ground black pepper. This looks amazing.
One of the issues that can arise when you're making a cheesy pasta like a Cacio Pepe is that the cheese clumps together. What this means is your pan is way too hot. That's why you keep it on low heat or no heat. That's why I use hot water, not boiling water. When the pan is super hot or the water is super hot, the cheese congeals and you get clumps. You got to continue to mix it as well. Don't forget that. Those 2 things, I promise, will have a creamy, delicious pasta every time. Okay, for the next pasta, we are going to make Pasta Alla Gricia. Here we go.
We're going to grate 1 1/4 cups of Pecorino Romano cheese. Again, this is a very classic cheese to use in this recipe. If you only have Parmesan, fine. Again, finely grate it right onto parchment paper. Again, makes it super easy to transport. Set it to the side. Now, I have some guanciale, also very classic to use in this. I need 4 ounces total, which is half of this big chunk here. Now, if you cannot get a hold of guanciale, you can substitute for pancetta and bacon. Would it be classic? No, but it'll still be delicious. Remove it from the plate. Again, I said I'm going to cut it in half, but to do that, I'm going to do 4 individual slices that are about 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick. The next thing you want to do is then turn the sliced guanciale, and we're going to make nice big chunks just like this. You could cut them smaller if you'd like. This is much more of a classic cut that you'll see in a pasta alla gricia. Set them to the side on a plate, then take that plate over to a medium size saute pan. We're going to add them in there. We haven't turned the heat on, but when we do, we want to turn it to medium low heat. Immediately start stirring the guanciale. It has a lot of fat on there, so it can burn really quickly, but we don't want it to burn. What we're looking to do is get it nice and cooked perfectly. With guanciale, a lot of times you'll see some that are loaded up with spice and pepper. For some reason, this one didn't have too much on it, so I'm going to add in an additional 1/4 teaspoon of black peppercorns, just like that. This is the consistency you want. A little bit crispy, perfectly brown, cooked throughout, not burnt. Now, to slow down the cooking process, we're going to add 4 ounces of that hot pasta water right to the pan. We don't want the bacon to cook anymore, but it still is too hot for cheese. So what you want to do is completely turn the heat off. Let's go over to that cheese, speak of the devil, and we are going to separate it into 3 piles. Again, a small pile. Next thing we want to do is do a larger pile and a medium pile. Does not have to be perfect measurements here. We know we have 1 1/4 cups total. Let's take that bigger pile of cheese. We're going to add it right into our pan with the guanciale and water. Using a rubber spatula or spoon, mix everything together until it is combined. It will emulsify. And when I say emulsification, think vinegar and oil when making a vinaigrette. This is exactly what it will look like. It's perfect. It's creamy, no big chunks. It's combined. Excellent. Back over to our pot of boiling water. We're going to add 8 ounces of fresh pasta. Again, I already seasoned it with salt, so it's nice and perfect here. It will only take about 2 minutes for fresh pasta to cook. When you're doing dry spaghetti, it probably takes about 8 to 10 minutes to get that nice al dente. Move it around. Once it's floating, let's take it out in batches again, just like with our Cacio Pepe recipe. Add them in there in little batches until all of it is completely in there. What we're going to do is immediately start to move it around, stir it around, get those flavors moving. We do not have the heat on. Remember, we turned it off. We don't want the cheese to clump up. This looks absolutely excellent. It's already creamy, but let's take it to another level of creamy and deliciousness. Grab that medium-sized pile of Pecorino Romano cheese that we grated up. We're going to add that right in there. We're also going to add in 4 more ounces of hot pasta water. 4 ounces, just so you know, translates to a 1/2 cup of water. Then what we want to do is season up well with salt and fresh cracked black pepper. Remember, Pecorino Romano is a little bit salty, like I said before, so season to taste. Move everything around just like a stir fry. Should become nice and creamy and completely coat the noodles. This looks fantastic. Plating it up is very similar to the Cacio Pepe. I like to do it in a little nest wrapped around a large fork. You can use a carving fork too, no problem. Then you're going to finish it with that Pecorino Romano cheese. So dang tasty.
And just like the Cacio Pepe, make sure your pan's not too hot. Keep stirring, and such amazing flavors. All that cheesy goodness. So tasty. Okay, for the last one of my all-time favorites. Again, super simple. Aglio e olio.
Well, that translates to garlic and oil. So we're going to start off with 3 garlic cloves that I'm going to thinly slice. You can run them through a garlic press, finely mince them, put them on a mandolin, whatever you want to do. I just like those big chunks of garlic. I think it adds a lot of flavor to this. For the other main ingredient, I'm going to be using a red finger pepper. You can use a Fresno pepper or even a red serrano. Trim off the ends, slice it in half, and then what we want to do is remove all the seeds. So sort of fillet that out of there. Be very careful with your fingers here and go slow. Then we are going to julienne these into nice little slices. If you Don't have access to a fresh pepper, what you can do is substitute for a half teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. I feel like the fresh pepper just adds so much flavor. We're going to add it to a bowl, take that and the garlic over to a medium-sized saute pan. We're next going to add in a half cup of extra virgin olive oil. I know that seems like a lot. Turn the heat to medium-low. We do not want this too hot. We do not want it smoking. Maybe after 30 seconds, add in the garlic. All we want to do is cook this until we smell it, until it's tender. Maybe going to take 45 seconds to 1 minute for this to finish. At this point, grab your sliced Fresno peppers or red finger peppers, whatever you have. We're going to add that in there and cook this for another minute or so. To stop the cooking process, go over to our pasta water. We're going to take 4 ounces or a half cup out of there, add it right to the oil. This is going to seem like a lot of liquid, but do not worry. Once we add the pasta in there, it's going to soak it up. It's going to be perfect. Just give it a quick little mix. We're going to turn the heat completely off. Back over to our pot of boiling water. 8 ounces of fresh pasta, just like all the other recipes in this video. Give it a quick stir, break everything up. Again, about 2 minutes total for this to cook. You can use dry pasta, as I've stated before. Add it in clumps as well so it doesn't overload our sauce with too much water. And then once everything is in there, we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of finely minced fresh flat leaf Italian parsley, and we're going to season it up with salt. Now, parsley is optional. You may not see that in a super classical recipe, but it is oftentimes in a aglio e olio. Once it is combined, it will literally come together with ease. Going to wrap it around a big fork just like the other recipes. Going to make a beautiful little pasta nest. And then what I'm going to do is just finish it off with a little bit more fresh chopped parsley. Looks amazing, smells amazing. Can't wait to try this.
Putting into practice these fundamental basic techniques will help elevate your everyday cooking. Continually stirring the pasta to make sure the cheese and the water comes together, making sure your pan's not too hot, cooking that garlic just right. Doing these things over and over again, I'm telling you, it will help make your homemade food from scratch that much better. That's always been my promise to you. Let's take a look at a few more of these beauties.
Oftentimes, simplicity is always so elegant. Minimal ingredients, always accessible, absolutely delicious. Be sure to make this tonight, and let's get in this.